Well, if they don't want to risk American military lives to go do it, because clearly the Mexican military can't do it, pushing the drug cartels out of Mexico would directly benefit the United States by not letting drugs be funneled into the United States. Like
legalize drugs.
That's not gonna stop the like GOP minus that like drug addicts like affect it on.
What do you mean?
Like the effect that like on the GOP that they estimate.
Republicans?
On the GOP or the GDP. Yeah, excuse me.
The GOP.
Yeah, the GDP gross. Yeah, on the GDP that like people that are addicted to like or stuff that they peddle in or like affect on it. So
I don't know. I think it would, because I think if you can get it from a legal source instead of the cartel, it would be a legitimate business.
So it's going to be the same thing. It's just the cartels are going to get taxed on it like a certain percentage.
No,
they'd have to operate legitimately, though.
Yeah, the big difference is this. It will be safer if you're getting it from a legit source. Because
it's like with alcohol. Because like if you go to the bar and you say, I want a shot of Jack Daniels, you get a shot of Jack Daniels. You don't get this shit that's like 200 proof and it kills you.
How much time do we have left?
Like 3 minutes.
Okay. I'm not going to get all into the arguments then, because we only have 3 minutes. But I would suggest to anyone who's interested in informing themselves on this issue, Chasing the Scream is a very, very good book on the drug issue. Let me look up.
Chasing the Scream.
Chasing the Scream. I heard about it on the Tom Woods show. I'm going to look up the author of it. But it's a book that's specifically about the drug war and its effects on the country and people. And you'd be surprised how few people that use hard drugs actually get addicted to it. It's like 2-3% of people who use heroin, meth, all these.
Well, I mean,
the actually become addicted.
The actual hard drug users aren't really what bugs me about this stuff. It's the illegal trade and the fighting and the murder that goes on behind it.
All of that is a direct result of prohibition itself. It was that way with alcohol back in the day.
Right.
And the iron law of prohibition is this: that if you make something illegal, only the most hardcore version of that will exist.
Exactly. And they'll just keep coming up with new ones like fentanyl.
When alcohol prohibition became a thing, beer, the most popular drink by far in the country, almost disappeared. And it was replaced with the hardest alcohol you could get. Yeah. Exactly, because when it's illegal, you need the biggest bang for your buck. The book is by Joan and Harry. It's a great book, Chasing the Scream. So beer disappeared, and the hardest of hardcore liquors took its place. When prohibition was repealed, all that hardcore moonshine stuff that made you blind, it essentially went away, and beer again became the most.
Well, I mean, it was they had somebody looking over their shoulder. I mean, it's somewhat like I was saying earlier. It's you order a shot of Jack Daniels from your bartender. You know you're getting a shot of Jack Daniels.
Right.
You're not going to get something that's 190 proof that kills you, or and it makes you go blind. When you go to the Coke dealer and you say, I want some cocaine, you don't know if that's going to be laced with fentanyl and it's going to fucking kill you. You have no way of knowing that. There's no guarantee. It's not a legitimate business. That's why it's killing
baby formula in a lot of these drugs in order to, it weighs the same. You can't tell the difference. So they cut it with other substances that are going to kill you. Whereas everyone knows that Coca-Cola used to have actual Coke in it.
Right.
I mean, it had coca leaves.
But it was in very, very small amounts. People used to sell heroin and stuff like that in very, very, very small amounts.
Yeah, the cowboy days.
As medicine. And addiction rates weren't any worse back then than they are now. If these drugs are legal and people are able to get them legally, they might use them, but in the very small and safe doses that they were using them in back in the day before the drug wars.
Do you think that's a good comparison though? Because now people have like a lot more recreational time than they did back then.
Well, there's also the idea, and not to just cut you off, but just snowball on what he said, is when people. If it's legal, I think people are more likely to seek help because they're not afraid their doctors are going to call the cops or,
this
people in the NA meetings are going to.
In Portugal, this happened in Switzerland, where they decriminalized the use of hard drugs and people were actually able to get help without the fear of being locked in a cage with rapists and murderers. You throw drug abusers in giant rape cages and let them out after a few years. Are they better for society after that?
What happens is if I get arrested today and I go for heroin or whatever, and I go to jail, I'm going to have on my record for the rest of my life, even if I never touch another drug in my life, it's going to say Caleb Salvatore was a heroin addict. And Every time I apply for a job, that's going to be on my background check. It's going to be hard for me to get work. What am I more likely to end up repeating, going back into the drug cycle and back?
You guys don't think though that we could like treat kind of how Europe does with the drug addictions, where it's more of a health disease than it is like a criminal offense without actually legalizing
it. It is a health problem, but my issue with that is with addicts. You can't make them get help or they'll start using again. It's more often, if you look at people like what's legal, alcohol. If you look at alcoholics, ones that go to rehab or AA meetings or treatment or whatever on their own versus ones that the state says you had a DUI, you have to go. The success rate is much higher for those people to go voluntarily. If you don't want to get sober on your own, you're not going to do it. It's typically how it works. And that's tons of research.
For me, it's also principle thing, because I think if you want to put heroin in your own body, I don't have the right to put you in a rape cage because you did that. I mean, there's two things. It's the principle libertarian me being for legalization because that's the libertarian position and that's what I believe in. And it's the practical thing too, because if you do it, addiction rates will go down, violence will go down, because most of the gang violence we have in this country is drug related. If you make it legal, that source of revenue disappears overnight for them. And there's still going to be gangs. There's still going to
most of the drug gang violence that directly affects the United States is more cocaine and marijuana, illegal moving.
I mean, there's still going to be problems with crime, but the biggest revenue stream that these crime gangs and cartels have will disappear overnight. That'll instantly make things better. Even say addiction rates go up a little bit, it's still better to have those cartels out of business, because how many thousands of people are killed, impoverished, or just have their lives made miserable by the existence of these cartels? I don't think
not in the United States, but by the
but it affects us,
third world countries.
How many people fled the United States because their countries are such shitholes because these cartels make their lives miserable there, and that has problems. The problems created by that have ripple effects that affect the United States in some very serious ways.
I don't think the addiction rate would go up, because honestly,
I don't either.
I think I can speak for everyone in this room. I don't know a single person that if they legalize meth today would go out and smoke it tomorrow that's not already on drugs.
I don't know really anybody personally that's on meth.
No, me either. So it's like, I don't know anyone. Like, that's what I'm saying, though. It's people that aren't already doing it. The people that want them are already doing it. We've had the education for long enough. Meth, heroin, crack, it's bad. No one's going to go out and try it. Coke or weed, maybe. They're not as bad.
The meth problem is really bad anymore now because of the opioid thing.
Because legal drugs. Because of legal drugs. And here's the thing about the underlying issue that causes addiction in the first place is that people who use these addictive drugs a lot primarily do it because their lives are absolutely miserable. And the only thing that makes them feel better is the use of drugs. Putting them in rape cages isn't going to solve that problem.
They can never get another job again.
Or they got a toothache and the doctor prescribed them fucking opioids.
It's just going to exasperate the issue, because now they can't find a job. Now they're outcasts. Now they've been raped in prison 20 times. And they're fucking dealing with PTSD from that. They get out of jail, they're going to go right back to it, because now their lives are even shittier than they were before. And they were already shitty enough to use hard drugs.
100%. So now you're looking at suicide.
Abolished for that reason alone, because the practical effects on it have long-lasting ripple effects that affect people on many levels. Sound like Donald Trump here. Many levels. It affects us. It's bad. It's evil. Whatever. But also because I believe that individuals own their own bodies and they have the right to use them whatever way they want, so long as they aren't hurting other people. So if you want to shoot your own arm up with heroin and die in an overdose, that's on you. Just don't expect me to pay your medical bills, Bernie Sanders.
And that's one way to end it.